All right. Well, welcome to Impact Marriage with Nick and Leslie Edwards. We're so glad that you've joined us for episode 2.
Episode 2. We're so excited to be back here with you guys this week, really starting off. And, we kind of talked through what topics do we want to talk about? How do we want to do? So we decided that we would not start off like crazy hard, right? Because we know we're going to talk about some hard things, but
this actually may be a hard thing for some people.
That's true. That is very true. So why don't you go ahead and tell them what we're going to kind of what we're going to talk about this time.
So we believe that investing in your marriage is incredibly important. And so one of the things that I believe has made our marriage better, and better is always better, but allowed us to continue to grow, is having regular date nights.
Date night. That is the topic. That's exactly right. Date night and what you do for those.
So thinking about our date nights throughout the years, and I remember when we first started doing date nights and this idea of, can we afford it? How are we going to do it? Those are all the questions that we want to be able to answer today, of just looking at what is a date night? How much do you have to spend? What does it look like?
Yeah.
Why do I need it?
Why?
Yeah. So as we've talked about this, kind of what are your thoughts on date nights and how it's impacted our marriage, and what advice do you have?
Yeah. Date nights are so important because it goes back to how it started. Like, the whole reason why you're married is because you had a first date, right? It's everything that you do. Like, our girls have some significant others right now, and they're always dating, and they're going and hanging out together.
They're all still alive, too.
They're all still alive, yes. But to me, the deal is it's about connection and about making sure that you stay connected. Is that what we've talked about? There's so many things that attack marriages and are against marriages, that we have to have that time that we stay connected and remember the great things about each other. Is that it's very easy to get caught up in the crazy busyness. And that's just our opportunity to kind of, settle. This is my person. This is my time. So to me, that's what it is. It's about the connection and just making sure that we're maintaining each other's, that I still like this person. I love this person.
We've joked about that.
Absolutely.
And we've joked about that because growing up, I remember so many of people that we grew up with that their parents got divorced right out after we graduated high school.
Yes.
And we just decided that this has to be priority one, that 100%. I have to like you when all the kids are gone.
Yeah.
And maybe we get to the stages of a little less craziness, that I still want to be with you, and I want to stay hanging out with you, and I want to have fun with you, and I want to laugh with you.
That I still know who you are.
Oh, that's true.
Just as you evolve and you grow in your marriage, if you're not spending that time together to learn each other, and you're constantly learning, you should be constantly learning your spouse and learning the new things about them, and learning. You should be a student of your spouse and learning them. And if you don't have that date night time together, if you don't have that time that you're connecting, you're not going to know your spouse.
Yeah. So when you first start dating, you're, 15, 16, 17,
25,
25, 30, whatever
30.
that is. You do everything you can to learn that person and know about that person, to pick up little nuances of who they are, what they like, what's their favorite color, what's their favorite restaurant. Yeah. Are they a Dr. Pepper drinker or a Diet Coke drinker?
Coke Zero.
Coke Zero,
Coke
right?
Zero.
and so you work to know that.
Yeah.
And you can go weeks, months, years, and never have any quality time here. Right. So why do you expect this to be good if you never invest anything here?
Yeah. So let's talk about like how often. So we know it's important because you have to be connected. I know you, like you said, week, month, years. What would you say is the ideal time frame for dating? What would you say?
Every day.
Okay.
Of course, that would be the best, right? Is to be able to have a date every day and that would spend time. And I would say, yes, have time together that you actually talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every single day. But regular schedule is the most important. So for us, it's every Wednesday. Yeah. Every Wednesday we go have dinner, and throughout the years, budgets have changed, and some months are a little tighter than other months. And so whether it's a local Mexican food restaurant, Jack in the Box tacos, whatever that is. Yeah. Now we get to come to the studio and invest more. And this becomes more of the overflow of our marriage because of all these date nights that we've invested in.
Yeah.
But for us, it's weekly. I would say at minimum once or twice a month.
Yeah. I think that's a really good. And let's specify the difference between like date night versus what do we say? Date event.
Okay.
Like there are times that and I think that's one of the confusions that people get. When we say date night, we are not saying this is a 6-hour event that we're going to go eat. We're going to go do some activity. Those things are great and those are important. And you should be doing those frequently in your marriage.
Those quarterly or twice a year.
Absolutely, where they're bigger things, where it's intentional. But we're just talking about when we say date night, it is set apart time for you and your spouse to ensure that you're connecting with each other.
So just to tell people, what do you think is the average time that we spend on a date night? On Wednesday nights.
On Wednesday nights?
Not counting studio time, just before this.
So I would say when the girls were younger, because we would try to do it like Wednesday night was our small group at church. And when the girls were finally old enough to stay by themselves, we made a point that they stayed on Wednesday and we would go eat. And sometimes it was 20, 30 minutes. It wasn't very long. Now that the girls have gotten older, we've been able to make more time. They're, whole afternoons, they're from 5 to 9, 5 to 8:30.
But I would, if you added up all of our date nights, I would bet that the average date night was less than 35 minutes.
Yeah, it's not a long time. Or we would go eat dinner somewhere, an hour. That's what we're talking about. Yes, you do have the date events, but just date night where you're connecting. Yeah. And that's why we're saying you should do minimum of twice a month, where you have that dedicated time.
Don't make things more complicated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make simple wins where you can actually go win with your spouse and have fun and laugh. And, we talked about that the best marriage advice that we ever got was never stop laughing together.
Absolutely.
Find ways on date nights to laugh. Talk about budgets, talk about kids, talk about events, talk about schedule, but laugh. Yeah. And you really push me on this. I can get very serious at times. Yeah. But to be able to laugh and have fun and just enjoy times together, and it makes the connection real.
Yes. That's how you maintain connection. So let's you kind of led into it about, talking questions. So let's talk kind of specifics of kind of, these are things that we set on the date night that if you're going to make it about connection, if you're going to make it getting to know each other, one of the things that we do is we're unplugged during that time.
Hang on a second, I got a text.
No, that doesn't work for date night. And we both have our phones there, and there are times a kid will text or so.
Oh my gosh,
I know
just
kids, they just drive me crazy, don't they? Yes. But I'm not saying don't ever have your phone, but make it a point to be unplugged. Make it a point to be technology free. People could get you if it was an emergency, if you needed it. That's not what we're saying, but don't respond just to the random text. Don't do things like that. Try to be intentional about making it unplugged. You joked about the couples that we see. What do they do?
Sit there and we have different perspectives and different words that we use, and they're sitting there and they're like this for 45 minutes in dinner and go.
They never look up. Like, how sad is that?
Yeah, you say sad, I'm going, y'all are so freaking annoying.
Yeah. So make it unplugged. Put your phone away. Don't look at technology. Don't let that be a distraction.
It's sad. It's annoying. It's whatever. But really what it is you are setting yourself up for failure because you're not making the other person a priority. And so you're going to have long-term problems. If you can't have a date, if you can't have a dinner, that you can't get away from these for 20, 30 minutes. Yeah.
So we talked about unplugged. The other thing that I would tell you is kind of one of the things that we're intentional about with date nights is intimacy. And yes, that means both.
I didn't know if you were going to bring that up on this episode or not.
I am. I'm going to bring it up because we said we're not straying away from the hard things, right? Date night is about intimacy, which is emotional. That's why it's about the connection. It's being unplugged. But it is also about physical intimacy. Like, things get crazy and you're tired and you do other things, but we are intentional about making that part of our date night routines, that it is an intimate time for both of us. One, because we've connected emotionally, and then that is just a natural flow from that, is to be physically intimate and connected during that time.
It's good. And so it's time, it's money, it's energy, it's focus, it's commitment, it's intimacy. It's all these things of investing in your marriage. It's investing into your future. It's investing in who do we want to be and how do I continue to grow and to like you and want to be more with you more and more.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then the last thing that we would talk about is...
All right. Okay, go ahead.
It's no kids.
It's no kids.
This is not family date night. And there are times making family memories are so important. You need those kind of things.
So this is where I have my question for you. Okay. So every week we're going to talk about what's the hard thing for the woman, what's the hard thing for the man, and sometimes we'll answer it for each other. But what's the impact your marriage? We want to kind of hit you hard. We want to give you the hard truth. We want to push you to be better. What is the impact marriage, hard things that women need to hear about date night? Yeah.
So I would say a lot of times if you look back in couples that we've met with and counseled with, when did you feel like you lost connection? When did it start? And so many times you hear, well, everything was good till we had kids. Yeah. Everything was good until we had kids. And then the kids are doing this and the kids are busy. And so unfortunately you hear kids as a big excuse of why couples are not regularly having date nights and having that. And unfortunately, and it I'm going to be totally honest, it really frustrates me and it makes me upset at women when they say, well, I can't leave my kid.
Oof.
I can't leave my kid. Yeah. I need to be with my kid. And that's important. But so the hard truth that I would say for the women is you've got to be able to be willing to leave your kids. And even when they're small, and I get not everybody is us, and I get that. And we talked about, we wanted to have that priority. Yeah. Michaela, our oldest, she was 4 weeks old the first time that she spent the night with my mom so that we could have a date night and a time together. And I get that's not everybody's story. And I'm not saying you have to have overnights. But ladies, you have to be willing to take time away from your kids to prioritize dating your spouse. You have to. So if you don't, your marriage is going to suffer. And ironically, you think being with your kids makes you a better parent. But if you're not being the best spouse you can be to your husband, you are not being the best parent that you can be.
So good. I'm so grateful that you've helped us in that. You've pushed us forward in that we are going to love each other more than we love our kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
I told you this a while back that I read this quote that said, so many people say their greatest accomplishment in life is their kids. Mm. Your greatest accomplishment was that you had sex and you procreated?
That you didn't even get any control over, right? You really don't have any control over.
And so what a low bar. I think when you do that, I mean, that God told Adam and Eve in the garden, be fruitful and multiply. And subdue the earth. Yeah. And so when you say our greatest impact of the world is our kids, what you're doing is you're neglecting marriage, which was really God's first gift to us. And then you're neglecting the call of God upon your marriage and in your life. And so you're prioritizing your kids. And that actually leads to child worship and a whole different topic.
Oh, that's a whole other topic. We'll get there.
But that's why good. Date night is so important because it says, I cherish you.
Absolutely.
I cherish our time. I cherish what God is doing in our life.
Yeah, absolutely. So really that's the hard truth is that you have to be willing to set time away from your kids to date your spouse and to be intentional about that time.
Very good. Okay. Any last thing for women who said, but...
So I'm going to be told, like I said, 4 weeks old. I was still breastfeeding at the time. I just pumped and she took a bottle and life was great. But even at that, even when you have an infant, even if you have those times, like feed your baby and your baby will be fine for 30, 45 minutes. It's just being intentional about that time is really what I kind of want to hone in on and it's not just, we'll put the kids to bed and do it. Like get out of the house. If you have $25, like spend $20 on a sitter and $5 on some nuggets or some tacos. Like, because it is that important.
That is the best use of the money.
100%, 100%. Yeah. So that's what I would say for the ladies is you have to be able to not use your kids as an excuse of why you can't date your spouse.
Very good. I like that.
So we'll see how that goes over.
No, and that's the hard things that we want to be able to talk about and just a little bit sit in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And be able to go, hey, if you're going to be better, you have to do hard things. You have to do things that are not comfortable, that are not easy, but it's worth it because I know this is an investment into our future. And by me prioritizing my time with God, it makes me a better spouse. Me prioritizing my time with you, it makes me a better parent.
Yeah. Like that's one of my favorite memories from our girls. I don't know if you know this, but like on Wednesday nights, it became like a joke around the house. Oh, it's date night. It's date night. And I thought, what a great legacy for our 3 teenage daughters to know that her parents have date night and that they're intentional about that. And like, I remember one time I picked Brooke up from school or something. And she's like, are we going to have dinner tonight? And I was like, no, Brooke, it's Wednesday. She goes, oh yeah, Wednesday's date night. Like they just know, like we've set that as a priority.
We've invested in their future marriage.
That's right. That's exactly right. So that's good. Okay. So what about you? Do we have a hard truth for guys or guys get a free pass on this?
Heck no. Guys never get a free pass.
Yeah.
So every man wants their wife to look at them as a knight in shining armor. They want to be seen that way. They want to be,
it's the fairy tale,
that's
right?
That's right. And so whether it's Mario Brothers and you're going to rescue the princess, every man wants his wife to look at him as if he is the knight in shining armor. And every woman wants to be able to go, hey, I am that princess and wants to be viewed as a princess. And so my word for men was pursue her. Pursue her like she's a princess. Pursue her like you're a 15-year-old boy trying to get the first kiss.
That's good.
Right? Pursue her and know her and go after that and never stop pursuing her. Know who she is. Find out about what's stressful at work, what's stressful at home, what's stressful in all the areas of life. But not only that, do you know what excites her the most? Do you know what fuels her? Do you know what she gets excited about, thinking about the future? And pursue her, know her. When you're first dating at 15 or 18 or 25 or 30 or whatever it is, you want to know everything about that person. You want to know, are they a Dr. Pepper drinker or are they a Coke Zero person, right? You want to know, do they like this kind of flour or this kind of flour? You want to know, do they like this Mexican food or do they prefer Chinese food? You want to know those things. The person you're married to is not who you married.
That's true.
Because they've changed. Because you've changed as well. So you have to always know them, always pursue them, always learn more, and also share yourself with them.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Yeah. So pursue your spouse.
Pursue.
I like that.
Go after it and make them feel like they are the princess that you're coming to rescue.
Yeah.
Not that your spouse needs rescuing, but that you are pursuing them with that intent.
And so
that I'll fight off the dragons for you.
Yeah. And I see some of that as you kind of setting the stage that you take, charge is the right word, but you be the lead in, hey, we're going to go on date night and we're going to set this up. And,
that leads to the frustration of date night, right?
It is one of the frustrations. This is what we talked about.
So where are we going to go eat?
The worst thing that happens on date night is, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Like, don't do that. That has the potential to jeopardize and create a frustration out of something that you want to do great in. Yeah.
So we have kind of this is our spot. We're going to go. This local Mexican food place here in Forney. And if we don't go there, the other person goes, hey, how about we go this place?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's, I don't know. And so here's a really practical solution. If you have this, I don't know, you can do one of two things. You take turns planning. Like you say, hey, this is your week. You have to think about it. This is my week. So you already do that. If for some reason you get into a situation and you're not good at making decisions, super practical tip, each of you put 2 places that you would like to eat in a bucket and you draw. And then no one has to make a decision, right? You get to say, hey, I don't want, like, there's a local fish place. And sometimes I'm not in the mood for fish. Sometimes I am. So sometimes when we're trying to decide, I'll say, hey, we can go anywhere but no this or no that. So you can say, hey, I don't want this. Super practical tip where nobody has to decide. But that really is my favorite, is kind of taking turns.
I have next Wednesday I have date night planned for us. We're going to somewhere that you love.
Yeah.
Guess where it is?
No. You don't get to do that. See, I watch TikTok. You don't get to do that TikTok trick on me, right? No. But hey, if that works on your spouse, that works on your spouse, right? Make them guess where you're taking them. So just make plans for it.
Make plans, prioritize it, pursue.
Yeah.
Make the investment into your future. You
100%.
can't afford not to do date nights, whether it's every week and it's Jack in the Box tacos or Chili's or whatever it is. Yeah. You can also have those quarterly big events or more expensive, elaborate times, but just be intentional.
Yeah. I think that's really good what you said on that. Like, date night for us is such an opportunity to learn more about each other. And then I also like what you said, like one of the things that we're intentional about doing on our date night is looking forward. We don't always just talk about our kids.
Heck
Sometimes that comes up and there are things that are going on. You can't not, but think about what the focus of your conversation is. Like, I love your deal. What do you say? Look at
look back, focus forward.
Okay. Yeah.
So I see so many people that post.
Say that again. Say that again, because that's really good. I want them to get
back. So you look back, but your focus is forward. And the illustration of this is people post about, hey, it's our 20-year anniversary or whatever that is, or happy birthday or whatever.
Birthdays. Nick has a birthday tomorrow, guys. January 14th. Whoop, whoop.
So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm expecting.
Hey, we're going to go on date night for your birthday. I'll pick the place. All right. I'll pick the place.
But people talk and they go, for our anniversary, we thought about how we met and, where we've been and all these different things. They went back to where they had their first date and all they talk about is the things of the past.
Because sadly, that's a lot. That's all that couples have, unfortunately.
And so talk not just about things that have happened, not just things that have happened this week or 5 years ago or 15 years ago, but talk about where are we going? What are our dreams and our hopes and our plans? And if you've never had that conversation, ask.
That's good.
Hey, what do you want our marriage and life to look like in 10 years?
That's good. And I would be willing to bet there's probably some couples that it's been a long time since they've been on date night. It's been a long time since they've just had those conversations as a couple. So there's a lot of really good apps that are on there. And we'll even put some questions on there for you. We'll put some questions.
Once this post, we'll put 3 questions down in the comments.
Great idea. We'll put there. But
to help you out.
If it's been a long time since you've talked to your spouse, you may not know what to say. And that's okay. Do not let that be an excuse of why you don't date your spouse. There's so many apps. Google some questions. What are questions that we could talk about as a spouse or what? Okay,
so this is a kind of a one-off tangent, but that thing that at work you have been avoiding and avoiding, or that person you've been avoiding and avoiding, and you need to call them back and you avoid it. It's not going to get any easier.
No.
So you got to just go do it. You got to go have the conversation. You got to go have date night. You've got to get started so that you can be better.
Yeah. Just go. Just have a date night. Be intentional. Prioritize it. Plan for it. Budget it. And just go.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be anything big. Yeah. Start small and then keep going in. And those of you that you have a regular date night, I would say your next step in this is challenge the conversations that you're having. Are you really being intentional about looking forward? So if you're not having date night, start. That's for the first couple.
Absolutely.
If you're having regular date nights, focus on the conversation that you're having. Are you moving forward? Are you thinking about new things? Are you learning new things about your spouse?
So there's sometimes that you're building a new house and that's the only thing you can think of.
Agreed.
You are pregnant, you're about to have a kid, and that's the only thing, it's just front of mind. But also, or you have a very frustrating work time. And your boss drives you crazy, and that's the only thing you can think of. And sometimes you just need something decompress there.
Yeah.
But also talk about what do we want in our future.
Yeah, that's good.
So, and then last thing I would just say, I want to challenge people, pray together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just pray together. And it is the biggest lie, and it feels so vulnerable for men to pray for their wife. Satan has lied to us and said, if you do this, she will think you're dumb.
Absolutely.
If you do this, you're not going to sound right. It's going to be weird. Don't do it.
There are very few things that will make you her knight in shining armor more than if you say, hey, let's pray together.
Wow.
Like,
all right.
that's the knight in shining armor
You've
that
never
she's
said
looking
that to me.
for.
I've never thought about it like that.
But you know what it is? There's nothing that would make somebody their knight in shining armor. You want to talk about rescuing. Like when you say, let's pray together. I want to pray for our family. Like that's
really
powerful.
That's really fighting the dragons.
Whew, yeah. It's
Absolutely.
awesome. It's good.
So we want to hear
awesome.
from you. If you go on a regular date night, we would love to hear some date night ideas.
Yes.
Put those down in the comment. Say, yes, we have a regular date night. This is what we love doing. Share some ideas with us. If you have questions or topics that y'all talk about on your date night, put those down in the comments. It'd be great to really learn from other people. That's what we always want to do.
Absolutely.
Always want to learn from other people. Put that down in the comments. We'd love to be able to hear from you. And then if you have questions, put those down in the comments. We want to be able to respond, whether that's on social media or on YouTube, where this video will be. And so make sure you follow us on all social media. Make sure you check out Impact 320 and 410 Studios, which was part of our dreams.
Absolutely. This is it, kind of coming to fruition. So thank you guys for joining us as we talked about date night. Can't wait to hear the things that you're going to say and what you're going to do. Because remember, date night makes you better, and better is always better.
Better is always better. We'll see you next week.